Hey everyone, you can hear me. You can hear me properly, right? Sorry, I just lost track of time completely, and I was like, suddenly, oh my god, it's 2 o'clock. So here we go. Finally, I have to be in this room because the other room is not having a proper internet connection for some reason. So let's see. I already have lots of questions on WhatsApp from a lot of you. So if nobody's saying anything, I'll just take one of those. Um, but yeah, in the meantime, if you have any interesting questions, you can just ask. Okay, so I just got a question on WhatsApp. Can you please share about your journey of learning different modalities of healing and help us understand how each of it works? Unable to post the question on YouTube. Okay, well, my journey started very, very, very early on. My parents had learned meditation before I was born, and my mom learned Reiki when I was in school, about 14 years old, and it changed her life. She found it far more holistic and far more effective, fast working than the meditation she'd been doing all those years. And more than anything else, she found it very helpful to help her kids, that is us. So she really adopted it, integrated into her life. And of course, what mothers do is they integrate it into their children's lives as well, which is what happened. I did not believe in Reiki at all. So I mean, I'm living proof that you don't need faith for Reiki to work, because I refuse to acknowledge anything. As far as Reiki was concerned, I saw a whole lot of miracles, and I would just pass everything off as coincidence. So I learned Reiki. I assisted her. She became a teacher. I assisted her throughout my childhood because I loved teaching alongside her, and I was the guinea pig on whom everybody used to practice their Reiki. So that was my bonus. Um, I can honestly tell you that I was not satisfied uh, because it's too simple to believe that something like this works. Most of the things I do are like that. They're extremely simple, and it's very hard. Even EFT, which is this tapping system, right? It's ridiculous. I've had clients look at me like I'm an idiot, when I have taken them through a cycle of EFT, and they're like, uh, do you really expect this to have solved my 15-year long problem? Just this, and saying some funny stuff like, yeah, I feel better right now, but I really don't think this is going to have a permanent effect. But then it does. So well, my journey, when I learned Reiki, a lot of my allergies, well, actually everything at that point in time, all my allergies disappeared. My health improved by leaps and bounds. And I still did not believe in Reiki, by the way. I said it's just a coincidence. um, Creative expression exploded at that time. I had so many opportunities. I was contributing to a children's newspaper, and I have like this much fan mail from that time. Stuff like that. Over the last 25 years, Reiki, I would say, I say that in the first 5 years, you say that Reiki changed your life. But when you cross that, I think anyone who's been doing Reiki for like 10 or 20 years says that everything that I am today is because of Reiki. And that's really all I can say. I cannot summarize how Reiki changed my life. It's so huge. The other modalities I use a lot of hypnotherapy in my work. Um, but that's a very covert sort of hypnosis. Most people don't realize they're under hypnosis. I don't like using formal hypnotherapy because then I have to do a lot of explaining. People don't realize how easily they can be hypnotized and how much of their life they're actually living in complete hypnosis. So it's very easy to just work with them, and they don't even realize they've been hypnotized. uh, and they don't have to question anything. If I tell someone, okay, I'm going to do hypnotherapy on you, then there's 50% of their mind that's lying there thinking, yeah, I don't think I'm hypnotized because I can hear that bird chirping and blah blah blah. So when I don't tell you that I'm going to hypnotize you, you're not going to question whether you got hypnotized. So a lot of what I use in my work is covert hypnosis. I also use a lot of EFT tapping, and that is, I like Reiki for the support it provides for holistic growth. And I love EFT for the rapid action that it can provide. So I compare it like, sweeping and mopping the floor. That's Reiki, the daily maintenance. And EFT is like the acid wash, to remove the tough stains. So both are very complementary, in my opinion. Also, daily practice of Reiki exposes you to such deep feelings within yourself that I feel that this daily Reiki practice amplifies the results you get with EFT like tenfold, 20-fold. It speeds up the whole journey. Because if you don't know what you're really feeling, EFT is not going to help so much. Um, those are primarily the methods that I use. I do use a few other healing systems, but I don't talk about them because they're hardly heard of. And I also, uh, I am trained as a yoga teacher. I never learned it for professional reasons, but just to increase my understanding of yoga. And what else? There's many I tend to forget. I do use art therapy in my work as well as on myself a lot. And there are Osho meditations that we use. There's also past life regression, which I feel is overhyped. It has its place, definitely. But I feel that it's a much slower way of getting results that can be gotten at 20 times the speed with EFT. Okay, Jayashree's asking when are we going to have the next EFT session? Let's see when we can schedule that. Gaurav is asking, is being happy the ultimate desire of human life? I really don't think so. I actually made a podcast. It'll come out maybe by March or so, maybe mid March or something. But I actually made a podcast on desire. Uh, I really don't think it's the ultimate desire. But maybe in a way you can say, is being happy the ultimate desire of human life? Yeah, I think you could say that. The ultimate desire, because if you truly desire to be happy, then you'll abandon all other desires in its pursuit. So, yes, I do agree with you. How important are kids? How do we know we want kids from a pure place and not being selfish? It's a really simple question. I mean, it's a really simple way of finding out. If you don't have kids, can you still be equally happy? Do you think you will be more happy with kids? If the answer is yes to that, that means there's a selfish reason. Because a relationship in general, whether it's children or not, a relationship demands, it takes more from you than it gives, always. We live in a lossy world, right? Like even electricity and stuff, if you pass electricity from this point to this point, you're going to have a loss. So the environment is such that whatever you give, it's going to reduce. So when you are in a relationship, for example, me and XYZ, so if I give, like, let's say 100 units of love, right? So if I give 100 units of love, they are only going to receive 90. And they give me 100 units of love, and I'm going to receive only 90. And of course, if there's an imbalance, many relationships are out of balance. But if there is an imbalance, the relationship will not last. If there is a balance, I'm giving 100 and they're giving 100, but see, I'm only getting 90 and they're only getting 90. So in a relationship, you have to be, if you wanted to survive, right, you have to get comfortable with the idea of getting less than you give. So if you can make peace with that, then it's fine. And that equation is far greater with children. Have you ever noticed that nobody ever lists a child as the greatest source of love? We all talk about a mother. Nobody ever says a child is the biggest source of love in the world. They're not. The reason why people want children is they want to experience being capable of love. And what is love? It's giving and just giving and giving and giving. But the problem is most of us are not that prepared to give anymore. And I really don't say this as a judgment or as a bad thing. It's just that our lifestyles have become so heavy on the system. Most of us are living in constantly stressed out phases. It's like you never come down from being continuously stressed. In that case, having a child and having the capacity to love unconditionally becomes much, much harder. So the circumstances have made it much harder. So that would be the main question. Can I be happy even if it does not happen at all? Can I be really, really happy? If the answer is yes, yes. The second thing is, if you want kids from a pure place, they will happen. If a soul is ready and wants to come to you, it will happen effortlessly, naturally. You don't have to struggle and push for it. No, you can meditate and prepare yourself for a while, but no, it will never be a torture. I like the decision making podcast a lot. Thank you. Should we run behind spiritual practices or pure mindfulness, presence, awareness is enough? Where does Reiki fit in? A very nice question. Well, you shouldn't run behind anything. But is pure mindfulness enough? Depends on how mindful you are. I would not call anything pure mindfulness because that level of mindfulness is rarely ever there, right? If you're sincere about it, I guess anything is enough. But you have to remember that it takes decades. There are no shortcuts. There are some cases where things happen, you know, at high speed. But in general, on the spiritual pathway, you're looking at a couple of decades of effort, not a few days. The way, we live in this super fast generation, and that's sad because the spiritual pathway does not work like that. Everybody is enlightened within 5 months of spiritual practice. And I'm like, come on, just, wake up for real. That's an illusion. So where does Reiki fit in? I have said this for a long time, but somebody else, it was very nice. Some other client also acknowledged it to me recently. She said, I have done this. I don't want to list the practices she was doing, but she was like, I have gone to this teacher and I've gone to that teacher and I've learned this practice. I've tried this practice. But Ashpita, you know what? Nothing is as easy as Reiki. And that's precisely the USP that I have been using with Reiki all this time. It is the easiest to sustain. When I'm telling you that, you're looking at a couple of decades of regular practice, think about it. Is there anything that is easier than Reiki? Just a half an hour, there's no restrictions on time, place, food, exercise, bath. There's absolutely zero restrictions. Do it in your bed when you're waking up in the morning, just do it twice a day and you're done. And of course, we all have phases depending on the astrological phases that you're going through. We all have phases of finding it really difficult to sustain a practice, in which case again Reiki is one of the easiest things you can do when the going gets really, really tough. There's nothing easier than Reiki, right? You can split it up into 10 portions throughout the day. But also um, you know I'm sorry, what is it? Yeah. Sorry, got distracted. The other thing is, Reiki provides you the guidance that you need. So when you're going through those low phases, Reiki is the one thing you can push, for yourself to practice. And when you're going through the great phases, then you're going to have all the support that you need, the right teachers, the right practices, provided you're living in surrender and not, allowing yourself to be driven by your egoic need for spiritual development. So, what does it mean if others can feel Reiki when we give them, but we don't feel anything when self healing? That's completely normal. There's nothing unusual about that at all. It happens all the time. That's what I like about Reiki. You are not the healer, so it's perfectly fine if you feel absolutely nothing. It happens. Ignore it. It'll come and go. I remember a very interesting episode from the past. There was this guy who was supposed to come for a Reiki healing, and those days I used to cook for my students, right? So I used to call them a day in advance and ask them, "Are you coming?" So I called this guy on Saturday evening and asked him, "Are you coming tomorrow?" He says, "I don't know." Not Saturday evening, I think it was afternoon. So I said, "Are you coming tomorrow?" He says, "I don't know." I said, "What do you mean you don't know? It's either a yes, I'm coming, or no, I'm not coming. What do you mean I don't know?" He says, "No, I have fever, for the last 2 weeks. And so I don't know if I will be okay enough to come tomorrow. So if I'm fine, I'll come." And I just said this. I was just, "Yeah, okay, I'll send you Reiki for, to be okay." And he's like, "What, you can do that?" I said, "Yeah, distant healing, not a problem. I'll send you healing." And those were times when I was feeling absolutely nothing, zero. There's zero sensation. So I was having doubts on my own Reiki. Okay. But then I said this, and then I'm like, oh my God. So I sent him Reiki, and he did not come for that Reiki class. And now I'm like, oh my God, what, did nothing happen? And what am I going to say now to him? He turns up for the next class, and I'm like, what happened? Why did you not come for that class? And he says, "Oh, Ashwata, I was in bed for 2 weeks. Within 4 hours of talking to you, I was completely fine. And I was so happy. I went pubbing, and I had a bad, bad hangover the next morning. That's why I couldn't come for the class." So that's how Reiki works. I was feeling absolutely nothing I did not feel anything for months during that phase. So this is very, very normal. It still works. Um, Whenever I'm emotionally down, I'm not able to do Reiki. How to overcome this? That is a tough one. You have to push yourself. I am really not the kind of person who says push, force things. If you've been associated with me, you know that one of my favorite dialogues is listen to your heart, listen to your heart, do what feels right. But during these phases, unfortunately, I'm sorry, you just have to force yourself. There's no other way. You know the law of inertia, right? Newton's second law. You keep on going in one state. So when you're in this down state, you're like in this negative spiral. You have to reverse it 180 degrees, and that takes effort. So you have to push for it, and you have to do it anyway. And you will realize the benefit. Over time, the more you do it, it becomes like a muscle, right? The more you push, the more you push. Then during harder phases, you're like, yeah, I don't care how bad I'm feeling. I'm going to do Reiki anyway, right? Um, What can be done if on some days we can't do Reiki due to family emergency? Um, Typically, there are pockets during the day that you can still manage a little bit of Reiki here and there, and you are aware of flooding. So at least do flooding when it's really not possible. And I've seen in general that, like, if you're too sick to actually, really too sick to do Reiki, most of the times, even when you're sick, when you're lying down, you can just have your hand somewhere on your body and you can continuously do Reiki. But there are some times that it's just too much. So if it's too much happening to genuinely do Reiki, I've seen that it doesn't really hurt. Reiki takes care of you. Um, I'm having a very, very difficult time with my parents' family. Can Reiki help with that? And how? Just flood them every time you're around them. That's it. So do your flooding and leave the rest to Reiki. And once you learn level two, you can also heal the relationship itself. So that does heal. It takes time. With parents, we have these extremely toxic equations that can be very difficult to heal. How can Reiki heal generational, familial, and emotional trauma? Well, there's a limit to how far Reiki can go with trauma. It takes time. That is why I like EFT very much. I'm not a fan of separating things into generational, familial, ancestral, this thing, that thing, inner child, and all of that. I believe in working in the present. I found that that's the easiest, fastest, and most effective to access. And sometimes, if there are small roots, the real roots are actually very easy to access if you're accessing it from the present. So I feel that the whole generational, familial, emotional, separating it into all of that is a bit dramatic. Not needed. If you just focus on what you're feeling in the present, things resolve themselves much faster. I'm overcome by a tremendous amount of boredom during my Reiki practice recently. Is it okay to play music or chant mantras doing it during it to keep it going? Yes, as a temporary solution, that is totally fine to do. But I've mentioned this to my students time and time again. Do not use this as a regular thing. This is only after you've been doing Reiki for a few years. It's like you hit a whole new level of boredom, and it can become a great deal of inner resistance, because boredom is hard. It's one of the hardest things to actually experience. So then you feel very you just don't feel like doing Reiki at all. So for a temporary phase, it is okay for you to use something like music or chanting to help you ease that. But just have this intention that the moment it gets easier, you go back to your silent Reiki healing again. What to do during motion sickness, with chakra to give spot Reiki? Root chakra should be fine for that. Knees, thighs, maybe solar plexus as well. You can try giving Reiki to your ears and root chakra. Basically, if you keep healing your root chakra throughout, before as well as during that journey, it should be quite fine. Can we place our hand on any part of the body and request Reiki to move to that part of the body if we're confused as to when and where to heal? Yes, you can do that. Remember that that is not a substitute for your daily self healing. But yeah, I mean, like for example, if it's a digestion issue, you know that it is the stomach area, but then there could be some problems where you don't know where the root cause is coming from. You can just place your hand where it feels right. Usually, Reiki will guide you. So trust what you feel. Can you please explain more about flooding? Will some kind soul please put the? I think I have. Oh yeah, I'm going to make a podcast on it soon. Just I've recorded it. I just need to put it online. Just give me like a few weeks. It'll be there. Um, I'm so used to pushing myself. Do it in a hard way. When things become easy, I feel uncomfortable. I'm not sure I understand the question. Um, what exactly is karmic theory? Karmic theory? I don't know. Depends on what theory you're talking about. I guess you're asking about karma. Karma, in my eyes, is attachment. Whatever you're attached to is going to eventually bring you pain. So, if you're attached to your children will hurt you. If you're attached to the idea of success, success will hurt you. If you're attached to the idea of, I was hurt by this person, then that is going to hurt you. If you're attached to, I love this person, that's going to hurt you. Basically, everything that you're attached to is going to eventually cause you pain, so that you learn to find the source of joy within yourself. So, many people see this as punishment. I see it as a gift. And the moment you are ready to put in the work that is needed without any incentive, most of us only take action when there's a potential of pain, right? How many of you actually take care of your health simply as a gratitude for receiving your body? How many of you actually do that? How many actually take care of your health because you're afraid of being sick? So a lot of our actions are actually motivated out of fear of pain. So as long as you're motivated by the fear of pain to take action, you will have pain. The moment you start taking action due to gratitude and out of love, then this starts becoming much more. Life starts becoming much easier, and then you're kind of more and more free from your karma, because pain doesn't have to guide you to grow anymore. Um, Good one. How do you separate the voice of your heart from your ego? Practice your Reiki every day. You just, I never did anything for that. You sort of realize over time. Um, and maybe I'll make a podcast on this as well. I did write an article a long time ago on how to separate divine guidance from messed up guidance. If I could sum it up in one line, I would probably say that divine guidance is very action oriented. And at the most, it's a little comfort oriented if needed. Like, for example, I started hearing "you're safe" at one point. I mean, I heard it at a time when it did not even make sense. I was like, why am I hearing this? This does not make any sense. Of course, I'm safe. I don't have any problems. It took me 3 years. I just keep hearing that. You're safe. You're safe. And it didn't make any sense to me at all. But That subconscious reiteration was needed. It took me 3 to 4 years after that to actually understand that I had issues with safety. And then, of course, I worked on it. So these divine guidance is usually when you receive messages that you need to hear, and they don't necessarily make sense sometimes. And at other times, they will be very specifically action oriented. Do this, do that. Not in the sense of making decisions. People expect divine guidance for making decisions, and that is really ridiculous, because those decisions are meant to be yours. Should I buy this house or should I not? What's the divine guide? No. What do you want? Because both have different consequences, and you are supposed to learn to understand, if I do this or if I do that, and what space am I coming from? Am I coming from the space of fear, or am I coming from the space of gratitude and love and happiness? So that there's no divine guidance over there. There's only clarity of thinking, for which a little bit of meditation. I have that podcast on decision making that can help with that, right? If I'm feeling too sleepy and cannot do the symbols, can I just Reiki do? Yes, you can do that completely. Does fragrance help in the process of healing? As I see that many post on particular fragrance for a particular chakra, yes, everything helps. Look, every single thing helps. But you always have to check what is the price. I am not in favor of any external dependency, because somewhere else you do have to pay a price. Fragrances are probably the gentlest thing, but still, nothing is going to stop things from pushing you into an overdrive as well. So overcharging can happen as well. Too much of one fragrance, if you don't know where to stop, then it can hurt you as well. So probably, some fragrances here and there, they're totally fine, but just avoid a dependency. Honestly, if you're serious and regular with your Reiki practice, I hardly see the need for any of these things. Reiki takes care of a lot. When I'm healing heart chakra and place my hand in front, trying to heal the back, I'm not able to focus. Do whatever you can. I mean, just have your focus on the back. Just, maybe touch your back a little bit, put your hand behind, touch it a little, and keep your awareness on that physical sensation. See what works for you, because it's really your mind. Figure out how it works for you. Will Reiki practice help to come out of anxiety? It does a lot. Reiki really, really helps with anxiety. I would recommend twice a day Reiki, at least, in the very least, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening. If you can do longer, it's better. Anxiety needs a little bit extra work. I would also recommend the chanting of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. It helps a lot. And more than anything else for anxiety, along with Reiki, I would suggest drawing, painting, centangling, something. Art is one of the most powerful tools to heal this. Um, but yes, anxiety, you can find a great deal of relief with Reiki. Also, Qigong, really slow movements, even yoga with a really good teacher. You can get in touch with me. I'll share my yoga teacher's number with you, website. But really slow yoga also helps you come out of anxiety quite powerfully. Is purpose an illusion? Once we realize it is, everything feels futile. Yes, everything is futile. So it's a difficult one to deal with, because we are so programmed to function with purpose, to feel important, valued. I'm the chosen one, I'm special. But when you realize that that's never going to happen, then it can feel very demotivating initially, and then eventually it just feels like freedom. And that is what freedom feels like. Can we overall body instead? No. Do your daily Reiki practice. It will help you tremendously with the pains as well. Can I Reiki relationship between two people that I know and love, but they are not good with each other, only with their permission? And this you can do after level 2. Please suggest if we need to have a goal in our life or simply just accept that life life the way it is coming so that we can get the experience of every situation. Depends on how you want to live life. I'm not in favor of living with goals. Um, Although I guess some major long term goal of I want to be present, something like that helps a lot. But I mean, it's really personal. Depends on where you are at. There are no right and wrongs on this journey. Everything is right for someone at some point. So there's no right or wrong. What is right for you right now? Remember that there's no permanent solution. So it's not like it's right for me right now, therefore it will be right for me 20 years down the line. No, maybe it changes 5 months down the line. But what's working for you now? What's helping you grow right now? That's the pertinent question. Let me type out the chanting you're asking me. Nam myoho renge kyo. Is it fine to give Reiki to a close best friend without asking for money? Yes, as long as it's a little clear that you just make it clear that it's not actually for free, but and we're so close, it doesn't matter. Or even if you generally see that they are grateful enough, and it's fine if it's that close that money is never an issue. You go for lunches and nobody really bothers who pays and stuff. So if money is not an issue, and you're constantly exchanging energy and helping each other out, it's really fine. Which is easier to cure, anxiety or depression? Which is a real cause of both? I don't know, because Reiki does the healing. I've had situations where anxiety hasn't healed that easily. Depends. There are so many various causes of anxiety. Depression, I would say, this is my analysis of it. I'm not telling you what the textbooks tell you. This is just as a healer, my perspective. I see as I see this as two types of depression. one is um, one is the healthy depression. It is natural to feel sad when something major happens. Somebody dies, of course you're going to be sad. Why on earth are you taking medicines? Just be sad for a while. Feel the pain. It's real pain. Your system is in utter shock. You need help to manage it. But taking medicines that just change your brain chemistry, it's not healthy in my opinion. And then there's the sort of unjustified depression, where you have lost something to chase. So this happens to the rich people, or people who have everything in life. So there's nothing left to chase. So this creates an imbalance of the five elements. Like you've got earth, water. So earth is your material possessions, water is your emotions and relationships. You've got fire, which is your passion and drive and ambitions and goals. You've got air, which is your intellect and friend circles and everything, satisfaction. And then you've got the ether element, which is emptiness. So if you don't have enough emptiness in your life, 1/5 of your life has to be empty. So you if you have all everything in your life is full, you're not going to have the fifth element. The moment the void goes missing, there's no void in your life anymore. You cannot be in balance. So then you start getting depressed. So that's a different kind of depression. There's no reason for such people to be depressed. They lose all zest, because ether is the most divine element. It's the subtlest, right? So you lose divinity from your life when you have everything you want, actually. So it's a very nice idea to chase. You can have it all. I've seen people, many teachers saying that you can have it. Why would you want to have it all? When you say have it all, it includes having the void. You have to have the right kind of void as well. And to imagine that you can have it all, are you talking about have it all outside or have it all inside? Because those two are completely different states. So even if you do have it all, if you don't have the desire to chase for something more, you're still going to end up feeling very empty. So that's what happens. So in either case, Reiki can help a lot, because ultimately the source of joy is inside. So once you get in touch with that, then the external doesn't matter. Whether you have things, don't have things, it doesn't matter. And in the first case, where the real depression, where you're reacting to genuinely painful incidents, of course Reiki helps. It takes a little bit longer sometimes in those cases, because the body has undergone shock, and the body needs to readjust on so many levels, emotionally, physically, mentally. It needs to readjust. That learning process takes time. Anxiety also I see in two, three methods. As far as anxiety is concerned, most anxiety is just really extremely, stress pushed to great extents. Like, we've not learned at all. It's really cool to be busy all the time. It's cool to not take care of the body. If we were living in a healthy generation, pizza and burgers would be like, they would be shunned. People would be like, yuck, who eats that? Like, that doesn't help you. It stresses your body. uh you know Working overtime would be shunned, and people are like, oh my god, what kind of loser works overtime? But no, that's actually cool, right? Like, everybody wants overtime people, and busy, and I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that, I have so much going on. That's so cool. Because we live in a tremendously unhealthy society, so we just like go from bad to worse, and the pandemic has made it so much worse. Now you have to juggle your parents and your children and your work and everything, and no maids sometimes, and sometimes the maids run away, all of that. And people have just burned out. So, and you combine that with a lack of sleep, you just had it. So that kind of taxes the system to an extent that anxiety becomes a huge issue. Reiki helps a lot with that. Of course, it's not just Reiki, you will have to make lifestyle changes as well. There's another kind of anxiety that is extremely difficult, almost impossible to heal, and that is the anxiety caused by the tearing of chakras when people push for extreme spiritual practices. Even the spiritual pathway has to be heart driven and not ego driven. Ego driven spiritual practice is when people go in and overdrive, they want, right? There was this one guy who did tear his chakras, and when I was talking to him, I said, you have to let go of the idea of siddhis, right, which is these spiritual powers that you get. He was like, no, I want the siddhis, I want enlightenment, but I want the siddhis. That's a very ego driven approach. Are you okay with seeing the truth and being completely comfortable not having any powers? What are you really chasing? If you're not clear about that, then it can lead to a tearing of chakras and cause severe anxiety, and I have not seen a solution for that. um Jeshri, there are methods. I just prefer to do it in the mind for a few hours every day. Just do it while doing everything, chant while doing everything. I've had chronic back pain since years. um been doing Reiki on and off. Is there a purpose to the pain? Purpose is something you should be searching if Reiki does not solve your problem. So you have to do Reiki continuously for at least a year, maybe two, and it will go. Don't You will worry about purpose only if Reiki is not helping you. Um, any light you would like to throw on the geopolitics of the world? It would be too controversial, probably. So no, not today. How to maintain the five elements in our body. I've written a whole book on that. There's so many methods. The simplest method is just do your Reiki practice every day. It's as simple as that. Can you please send your audio of the chant? Just message me on WhatsApp. I will share you a link, and you can do that. Is it fine to do Reiki to make an impression in a job interview or dating life? To make an impression, no. A very ego driven thing, and it will often backfire on you. Again, right? What is the core motivation? What do you really want? Do you want to impress people, or do you want a job that you like? So, do you really want to impress people who will give you a job that will make your life utter hell? Do you really want to go around impressing a girl that you will get into a very, very toxic relationship that will destroy your mental stability? So, why would you ever do Reiki to impress someone? Do Reiki to bring balance. If this is healthy and right for me, let things happen. It's very, very interesting. But when you start doing flooding like this for the right reasons, so many things will just cancel out. It just won't work out. People cannot come near you. Just do your flooding. That girl won't turn up to the date, if she's not good for you. So many things will happen. You'll be quite surprised. What can we do when something is bothering us, but we are not sure what the issue is? Which chakras can we heal for this issue? Chakras depend. The feeling can be located. I've talked to you about the mind being mapped to the body. I would say do your full body Reiki, close your eyes, and just tune in to what feelings you're having. See where they're manifesting in your body, and then do Reiki for that part of your body. That's it. It's as simple as that. And just feel that emotion. That's it. And if you've learned EFT, do EFT for that. Next question is EFT. Does EFT help in deep level healing? Because I feel it vanishes only for a while and the same emotional issue comes back again. Yes, you're not doing it right. EFT works very, very deeply. I've actually resolved in 15 minutes an issue that I had been trying to resolve for 20 years. Took me 15 minutes to resolve that with EFT. 20 years of therapy. Okay, nothing helped. 15 minutes of EFT. So you're just not doing it right. So make sure that your Reiki practice is solid enough for you to be in touch with your real feelings and then do EFT. Really go deeper. What am I really feeling? If you've attended my class and you know about all the terms that I've used, just don't do tabletops and stuff like that. Usually, if you're doing that, you're not going deep enough. You are probably doing it for a larger situation rather than you're not going specific enough. Usually, do random cuts and bruises teach us anything? I mean, just look at where you got a cut and bruise and see which part of your body, is, what emotion it represents. And if you get some insight, then, well, maybe. How can we use Reiki to improve relationships? Yeah, you can just imagine them in front of you and draw all the symbols and just wish for there to be balance in the relationship. Also, do flooding every time you meet them. For sleeping issue, on which chakra are you doing Reiki every day? Because if you're doing Reiki regularly, very rarely will you still have a sleeping issue. So if you're having sleeping issues, just do more Reiki. And before you sleep, do your Reiki from the upper chakras all the way down. So if you're healing in the downward flow, you will be pretty sleepy by the time you're done. You can even lie down and do your Reiki from top to bottom. Um, okay, and I had some other questions as well on WhatsApp. Let me see. Um, oh, yeah, I remember I had a question about in laws as well. Do we have a karmic relationship with our in laws? Obviously, there is a karmic relationship with in laws. Um, what else can I say about it? See, it's really as simple as this. Everyone and anyone that triggers you, you have a karmic relationship with them. And the more helpless you are in a situation, the more karmic that relationship is. Learn the lessons. What are the lessons to learn? Just make peace with who they are. This is who they are, this is how they behave, and that's okay. So the more you make peace with that, the more comfortable it's going to be, the faster you learn your lessons. And go one step further than that and wish them well. Do flooding and do it with feeling, do it with meaning. When you wish them well, things usually change. Just wish them to be happy. It's very hard. Can't say it's easy. It's not easy for me either. There are times I want to smack someone in their face with a wet fish, like someone had said. But the truth is, happy people don't hurt other people. So if those horrible people are actually happy, they will not hurt you anymore. So do Reiki and wait for it to sort itself out. Ankusha says she got a cut in her right thumb. Thumb is willpower. Right thumb is your choice, how you're using your willpower. So, yeah. Um, Let me see if there's anyone else. And unfortunately, I didn't put them all in one place. So, missed where all the questions are. Yeah. So, you guys done? Because I can't seem to find those questions. So, is fasting good for the body? And if you have a cancer patient at home, how can you help them? Give them Reiki every day. If you have a cancer patient at home, of course, it's likely that you are going to be quite taxed yourself. So I would say if you want to help a cancer patient, first of all, do your own self healing, because when you have a sick person, really sick person at home, they usually tend to take a lot of your energy. So if you are drained out, you're going to be horrible and mean to these people. And if not, then you are going to get drained out massively. So having a half dead caretaker is not very helpful to a sick person. So the best thing you can do to a, if you have a cancer patient, is make sure your own practice is rock solid. Somehow make the time, 15 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening. Do it. Not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but it is really, 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 really essential. And if you can take the time out, a little extra time, give them healing as well. If they are willing to go a step further, I would strongly recommend exposing them to meditation, because cancer is usually a level of emotional stuckness that is unprecedented. Like, they really need to do some very, very powerful self work in order for that to not happen again. Okay, and then if is fasting good for the body? It's excellent for the body, provided you are listening to your body. There are times I have wanted to fast, but my body says no. So if you're practicing Reiki regularly, you will be able to listen to your body. Listen to your body. There are times you can do, like, there's a friend of mine who does a 10-day fast, complete fast, water fast every year. And I wish I was like her, but I'm not. And I'm like, no, my body is like, no, I don't want that. So listen to your body. Fasting can be great for the body. Very, very, very good for the body. But listen to your body and do it when it's right, because for some people it can also be hurtful. There is no one size fits all. There's also no one size fits you all the time, right? So something that's working perfectly for you today could be total disaster for you tomorrow. So listen to your body. How can we integrate our shadow self? It's complicated, but if I was to put it in one line, I would say, see every single trigger as a reflection of you. Every single thing you don't like, every single person you don't like is a reflection of you. If you can start doing that, you will start integrating your shadow. And even more so, every single judgment you make, every single person that's, "Ee, look at that person, see how they are," So, well, that's you. That's you're seeing a part of yourself that you don't like in them. So it doesn't mean that everything that you dislike is a reflection of you. You can dislike a whole lot of things. I mean, if you go to a park and there's poop on your path and you step in it, you're not going to like it. It's not a pleasant experience. But then if you get triggered and then you go crazy and you're like, what the hell? What, these people with dogs, they can't even clean up after themselves. What is wrong with them? That's you getting triggered. So that's something you need to work on. So just saying, oh, that's a very, say, ugly painting. That's just, you're aware that it's your opinion, and that's just, you don't like it. So not liking is different. Getting triggered is quite another. So everything that triggers you is a reflection of you. How to get less affected by what others think about us? Start thinking for yourself. What do you think about it? The thing is, you can only And this applies to everything. We are, what was it? Discussing today itself, that someone who seeks, witnessing, someone who wants to show you, look, this is what this is. I was talking about someone's use of social media. And I was just discussing this morning how, if you want others to see your success, and if you have this desperate need to share the good things in your life, it means that you, the witness, is actually missing. So before you share anything, ask yourself, am I really sharing this? Am I sharing this because there's a purpose? Or am I sharing this because, like, I need someone to witness that something would happen with me? And if that is the case, you're not witnessing anything. The witness in you is missing. In the same way, if you want approval from other people, it means you don't have your own approval. The thinker in you is missing. So the, if you notice people who think for themselves, they don't care what other people think, because, well, I have a brain, I'm going to use it, right? Why would I bother? Like, just imagine that you want to buy a blue dress, and you walk into a store, and if you can't speak for whatever reason, you have a sore throat or whatever, you cannot speak, then you want the other person, you just like tell them, right, I want a blue dress. Why would you do that if you can speak for yourself? So why would you seek approval if you can approve yourself? So the problem is, your own voice does not matter. You don't have a voice in your own head. So, that's why you need everybody else's voice to tell you, yes, this is okay, because you don't think about yourself. So develop an opinion about yourself. Think about yourself, you know, and you won't need other people's approval anymore. It's not always easy, because sometimes when you start to get in touch with your opinion, some opinions are good. Oh, I like this about me, and the rest is, you suck. You can use that positively to develop, and that nasty voice can push you to extreme levels of excellence. But you need to know how to use it, because it can also destroy you. Like, many of us who think for ourselves, we have battled with extremely harsh, self judgment, and, like, we've been very harsh on ourselves, and that includes me. I remember I used to literally chant out of desperation to myself around 2010, I think it was. I would be like, I'm my own worst enemy, I'm my own worst. I didn't know what to do with it. So like in the Samudra Manthan that we have, that we talk about, the poison comes up first. So the moment you learn to use your own mind, also the first thing that will come up is how much you hate yourself. And for that, that's why a teacher helps, because a teacher will slap you back into your place, but also love you back into your place, when it's appropriate, whichever is needed. um any particular significance of right side body pain? Right side is the masculine self, remember? So you need to check about the men in your life. The authority figures in your life could be women as well. And also, the right side is a masculine side. It's the part of you that stands up for yourself, that asserts yourself. So you're probably not making your presence known, in the world. So you may want to bring your energy to actually doing. So if it's, for example, you're talking about the neck, so pain in the neck, you're probably taking on more load than you can. You're not asserting yourself over there. So that's the pain in the neck. Pain in the back. So that's, again, you're not asking for the support that you need. And you're not doing the things that you want to do. So that's basically, you're not asserting yourself. Basically, your presence, be alive, make your presence known. Earth chakras, I don't know. I focus on the seven chakras. I focus on the body. I don't go beyond the body. I stick to the core realities, the physical realities, kind of the Vipassana approach, sort of. Not a fan of going beyond that much. But the chakras of the earth, I don't know. I just remember this much, that the earth's crown chakra is in the Himalayas, in Kailash actually, and the root chakra of the earth is in Mount Shasta in the US. The rest I've kind of forgotten. Um, how to cope with a person who has taken the relationship for granted? But why are you being taken for granted? It's always easy to make things about the other person, right? But if you are being taken for granted, I think what you need to study is, what did I do to get taken for granted so much? Why am I giving so much that it's so easy for this person to take me for granted? You're probably a compulsive giver. Compulsive givers always get taken for granted. So look at why you are doing so much giving. Usually, the motivation is fear based and not love based. Love based people rarely get taken for granted. How to make peace with the past and past mistakes. EFT usually helps like magic. So, if you don't know EFT, just do a session with me. We can quite make peace with that. But I would say, in general, not just Chetra, but everyone, please keep this in mind. If you're stuck on the past, it means you cannot get to the future either. So, generally, people who are stuck on the mistakes of the past, they just keep repeating it. If you are focused on what you did rather than what you are doing today, you're never going to really improve. The only people who get stuck with past mistakes are the people who are not doing enough in the present. If you've already learned the lesson, if you've already compensated for it and moved on, you won't have any problem at all moving over from the past. It is only like, if somebody is cheating on their marriage, this is the standard example that we give, for regret, guilt, and regret. They feel very guilty. People cheating feel very, very guilty. Oh my God, I'm doing this, and I love my wife and stuff. But oh my God, like they keep feeling guilty. They go and cheat anyway. They just continue. Nobody stops. Nobody ever stops because of guilt. So this guilt for past mistakes is just an excuse to continue doing the same thing. You want to get over past mistakes? Simple things. If the person or this, if the person is alive or accessible or something, just ask them, what can I do to compensate? How can I compensate for my mistakes? That's it. And if it's not about that, if you ruin your own life, just see, how can I make the most of where I've come because of my mistakes? That's it. If you just do that much, why will you regret about the past? Because you only regret about the past if you haven't been able to make the most of it. um, every single thing that goes wrong, you can learn and grow from it. If you haven't grown from it, you regret it. So just use it as a foundation to grow bigger, faster, better, and there will be no regret anymore. I'm learning to stand up for myself and establishing healthy boundaries. I'm losing people, and the fear of me ending up being alone crops up intensely. Well, what's the point in being surrounded by people who don't respect your boundaries anyway? So the truth is, you have always been alone. It's just that you're seeing it now. So the more you see that, you will get to a point where you're like, I'd rather be alone than be surrounded by abusive people. That's it. So it's nothing much to fear about. It's just the fear is a part of the process. But the truth is, you've always been alone anyway. So, yeah, it's half an hour already. Any last questions? How would you feel if you were barefoot and stripped of jewelry? Do you feel more grounded and like yourself? Depends on the phase of your life. There was a phase where I wore absolutely zero jewelry and I couldn't stand it. Um, but it really depends on how grounded you are within your own body. So if you're well grounded in your own body, you don't need external things grounding you, right? But if your own grounding is quite weak, then you want external things to help you out. So that again, it depends on where you're at and what you need. So if being barefoot and not wearing jewelry helps, do it. And when it's not that critical anymore, don't. It's as simple as that. But that's a nice question. Thank you, Jayashree. Yep. So, are we done? Any last questions? Oh my God. Recently, I lost a loved one, and I've had a stressful situation. I had stressful situations to handle since the last 6 to 7 months. People say stay strong. I hate those words. Honestly, can't stand them. Stay strong. What the hell does that mean? If they were strong people, they wouldn't be telling you this, right? They would have been your strength. It's only weak people that tell you stay strong because they are incapable of giving you any strength. A strong person will tell you, I'm here for you. A weak person will say, stay strong because, I'm not going to be there for you. I cannot help you out at all. You need to be strong so that I don't feel uncomfortable that your life is messed up. So ignore these people. They are not going to be here for you. They're not here for you already. Don't bother about them at all. You just do the best you can. People don't understand how to deal with grief. I think the worst story, I've said this many times before, but the worst story I've ever heard was a girl who was engaged to be married. She lost the man that she loved deeply. And after 2 weeks, her parents are like, enough of crying already. You know, we need to find another man for you to marry. 2 weeks! He died in an accident. That's how bad it is. Like, people just have no idea how to deal with grief. When you lose someone, you're going to feel like hell for about 6 months. Your body is in shock. You have all these. It's natural to have anxiety attacks. It's natural to just start crying out of the blue. No, but it's fine. You need to give yourself the space to feel that. And most people in our society are uncomfortable with pain. So when they see you in pain, they're just going to want to shut you down and say, stop feeling so much pain. I can't handle it. Tell them you're welcome to leave. I'm fine with my pain. Just leave if you can't take it. Will Reiki help to come out of any addiction? It does help a lot, yes, quite a lot. Especially with smoking and stuff, it helps quite a lot. I've seen people who were doing Reiki, and as long as they did Reiki, they would not smoke or drink. And the moment they stopped it, they would get back to it. So if that's the case, then you need a little bit more help. Maybe some therapy will help because a lot of people, I've seen that the core reason for addictions is in an incapacity to tolerate yourself. If you can't stand your own company, the moment you experience being alone on any level, now that alone could be sitting alone, taking a 5 minute break uh, in the middle of a busy day. You're alone for those 5 minutes. You need to fill that alone time. But being alone could also be feeling alone because of other people's words or actions. Somebody says something and you feel unsupported, you feel stressed, you need to smoke. And then the opposite, many people smoke to socialize. Same thing, you're compensating being alone. You're using that smoking as an excuse to connect with people. So basically, the problem is you can't stand yourself, you can't stand being alone. So a little bit of therapy around that to help you be comfortable with yourself will heal addiction a lot. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you so much. Um, yes. Thank you so much, everyone. I really enjoyed this as well. I hope you did. And I'll see you soon. Bye bye.